Hi there folks, welcome back to the workshop. So today I thought I would make a start on making a frame for this Rolls-Royce Merlin engine to sit on. If you haven't seen parts 1 etc about the Merlin engine, click the link below. So anyway, let's take a look at what I'm up to. So folks, one Rolls-Royce Merlin that's sat at the bottom of the Baltic Sea for 80 years. It's upside down, so one job is to get it the right way up, and also it needs something to sit on, which also needs to allow it to be able to move out of the workshop to where it will be displayed. So the first thing I did was just trim back some of these little remains of the bolts, so I could actually take some measurements. Because what I'm thinking is we need a couple of rails along the sump rails there, and I think I'm going to use the crankshaft here, because the big ends are now hollow, to secure the crank to the lower frame. Well, at least that's the plan. It does mean sacrificing the remains of the bolts here on that one, and that one, because they will get in the way of my little idea. So let's take a look at my idea and how it's taking shape. I'm using a 50mm box section for the main rails, where it goes around the front of the engine, and then you can see there that's another piece of steel. Well, I'm going to use those as braces, which will then coincide with where the big ends are on the engine. So that's the plan. So what I need to do now is actually sit this on the engine and work out where I need the braces. As to be said, it doesn't feel right destroying history. However, to make the cradle for the engine, it has to be done. So, guess I'm the hand that rocks the cradle. Let's trim these down. Well folks, I've just mocked up the crossbar supports, so they're now all sort of above the two big ends I'm going to use to actually clamp it all together. So next thing to do is get it all welded up folks, because it's just tacked in place at the moment. Well, there it is folks, just welded it up now, so let's sit it on the block and see how it looks. So there it is in place folks. As you can see it now, both of those, and the big end that's basically at bottom dead centre, so we can actually use this as an anchor point to the crankshaft. The crankshaft being the heaviest part of this. The rods kind of hold onto the liners with what remains of the pistons, which should hopefully mean we can turn it over when the time comes. But that's a start folks. Got to start somewhere. Never done anything like this before, it's a new one on me, but we'll wing it. One thing I'm unsure about, what to give it a coating with, because I think we need to protect the surface from further corrosion. Any suggestions folks? Ideally something clear We did use a clear resin on the metal propeller blades, and that seems to have worked, but it's a bit more awkward once this is cleaned out to then get it into all the nooks and crannies, as you can see. So folks, any suggestions, pop it down in the comments. Well, got the frame welded up, folks. Cross braces in, and they're drilled, and they can now clamp to those two big ends of the crankshaft. So that's, we'll call it the bottom of the cradle. Now I do need to turn this thing over. So for the back here, I think to enable it to roll over, it needs to go right down to the bottom of the pallet, just to brace it as we turn it. So now I'm just on with a bit that will do just that. The metal plate will actually go across where the crankshaft is, so I can actually attach the crankshaft to the back plate in there, as you can see. So all I need to do now is attach the two and see how it looks. So there's my bit for the rear. So now I need to do a little bit of trimming, and I always hate doing this, folks. I need to trim those three off. That one, just so the metal plate fits up against this face. And then work out where the centre is for the crankshaft, because I can put a bolt through that and just all keep it clamped together. Because some areas are a bit delicate. We don't want the thing collapsing as we turn it over, do we? Well, back plate in place, couple of tacks of weld. So I can now remove the frame, the cradle, and just weld it up properly. Yay! I wonder what these guys would make of what I'm doing. This is the actual crew of HR-871, and that is the actual aircraft in the background. Brave lads. Anyway, let's have a quick look. And there it is, folks. It doesn't look anything special. Excuse me, tripping up. All it's got to do though is support the engine when it's in display and enable it to be turned over the right way. And I'm hoping this will do both jobs. So let's get it in place. It's not quite finished. Need to put a hole in the back plate there for the crankshaft. But I need it on so I can take some measurements. So I'll get it in place and we'll take a look. So there it is in place, folks. As you can see, it's clamped to the big ends. It's got something substantial, so when we tip it over this way, let's get it the right way up, it's got something to keep it all in place. I need to put a hole through there. I'm going to make use of the hollow journal just to clamp the back end, and then I think if we strap the pallet to the engine over the frame, over the cradle, and when we tip it that way, we make sure it's got a foot on the floor so it's not going to move, it's going to pivot on something solid, not just a fragile pallet. I believe we could get it the right way up. Well, that's my thoughts, and I'm sure you'll shoot me down in the comments. Also, folks, aluminium and corrodedness. That's me tripping up again. What do you reckon is the best thing to coat this with? We've got a lot of aluminium. That's thin in places. And I feel it could do with a coat of something just to stop it corroding anymore. So what's left to do? I need to put some plates on, which will just help to keep everything from spreading out at the bottom. I think a couple on each side should do that. I then need to get as much done inside the crankcase while it's upside down, prior to flipping it over the other way and seeing what survives on the top, sort of in the V between the cylinder heads. So, a lot more to come, folks.